and new contracts awarded to people who are supportive of the new administration. So the whole system is divisive of the country, and that is why Forum Initiative, under the auspices of IDEC, the Institute for Development and Democracy, has also called for a slowing down of the process so that there can be greater consultation and discussion about issues which have not been properly addressed or fully addressed.
What happens if, Parliament, government does not pay attention to these recommendations you'll be making?
Well, I think that would be rather unfortunate because the recommendations will be reflecting the will of the people, and therefore I can't see how Parliament and the government should not ignore the views and opinions of the people.
Because indeed, the winner-takes-all system excites the politicians depending on which foot they have in front.
Its position and continue to be in power so that it can continue to enjoy the spoils of office. Okay. On the other hand, the NPP is probably hoping that it can unseat the NDC and then have the opportunity to enjoy what it is not enjoying at the moment, result in conflicts, and as Dr. Bocho said, something unhealthy might happen if we don't take a look at this system.
That's absolutely true. And so you're going to do these consultations about what period?
Within a 3-month period.
Okay.
And, I noticed
and you'll be traveling across the country?
Yes.
Okay.
The country will be divided into zones, and we'll have these consultations. The first one will be in Tamale, which will comprise the northern zone. You see, now the IE has decided with its advisory committee that we will do all of this within a 3-month period. Okay, so that period is within the 6-month period that the constitutional amendment bill is going to be published in the Gazette.
Yeah.
And so I was rather surprised to read that Professor Dankwa, the head of the Constitutional Review Implementation Committee, said it's too late for new proposals to be brought, and that giving the impression that the Constitutional Amendment Bill is a done deal and that nothing else can be done about it, forgetting that Parliament has not yet had the opportunity to consider it, and Parliament, which has the responsibility of passing both the bill, both the non-entrenched as well as the entrenched provisions, has to consider the bill and should have the opportunity to make amendments to the bill which is presented. I don't think Parliament should just be a rubber stamp of what the CRIC presents to Parliament. Obviously, when it goes, so far the entrenched provisions are concerned, when it goes for a referendum, if the people accept it, then Parliament has no objection, has no right to review it. It has to accept it. But the point I'm making is that it is not too late to look at some of these issues, such as the winner-takes-all system, as well as some of the issues that were raised, in the white paper, which has not been fully discussed, because there is still room, there's still an opportunity to really look at some of these issues which the public are very much concerned about.
Okay, so over 3 months, wherever you are, if you hear of the IEA home tutoring, you better show up and make your recommendations or suggestions, known to the 11-member advisory committee. So all 11 of you will be moving to the regions?
Well, as many as can.
Well, it will be a nice opportunity to see all of you.
Yeah, that would be the ideal situation.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be possible.
Right.
I think that those members who can go to particular regions would go, and so it will be left to members to decide which members can go to each particular zonal venue. But there would be credible representation at each session.
But what has been the feedback you have picked up since the press conference?
Well,
Has it been positive?
I haven't.
Really
You mean from the public?
From the public, yeah.
I don't, and this is it. I don't think there has been much education of the public on this issue. I'm not aware that, for example, the National Commission for Civic Education has been given sufficient funding to undertake this education, and it's very important, for people to understand the negative consequences of this system which we are practicing, and for them to understand that it is this system that has polarized the nation and has the potential of resulting in further conflict and deepening of the political divisions in this country. I think that it is very important that the media also takes up the responsibility of educating the public on not only the winner-takes-all system, but even now to begin talking about the entrenched provisions which are going to go for referendum. So far, there is no discussion whatsoever. If I ask you, for example, whether you know what these entrenched provisions are, I'm not sure what you're going to tell me, but I get the impression that there hasn't been sufficient discussion, consultations about the entrenched provisions which are going to be submitted to the electorate for their approval. And this is worrying, especially when you consider the fact that it is intended to have this referendum in December in conjunction with the district assemblies elections. So there are serious issues which it is important that we start discussing them, and so that we can get consensus. Another concern which we have is that we understand that the constitutional amendment bill, voters are going to vote yes or no on the entire bill, not on each entrenched provision.
And that's what you prefer?
Well,
it must be on each of the entrenched positions.
Yes, because, for example, if someone says, it's recommended that the death penalty is going to be abolished,
or the indemnity clause should be.
Well, that has been retained.
Yeah.
So,
but there are people who are who think that it should have been, taken out.
Yeah, but let's say you support one of the entrenched provisions, or let's say you don't support one of the entrenched provisions, and therefore you want to vote against that particular entrenched provision.
You're unable to do that.
You're unable to do that, even if you support the rest, the 40 remaining entrenched provisions. And that seems to me to be illogical.
And you're given only two options.
Yes,
really, a yes or a no.
Yes or no. And I think that when you're dealing with a situation where you are considering very important and critical provisions which are not similar, it is not a very convenient and logical and sensible way to go about, voting on such issues.
Would this be part of your recommendations at any point?
Well, obviously,
would you rope it in?
Obviously, it is something that would have to be put into the public domain for discussion. I know that in the 1990 Constitution, when we were voting for that one, that was how it was done. But that was because it was either we maintain the status quo, military rule, authoritarian rule, or transition to democracy and constitutional rule. So
that wasn't difficult.
That wasn't difficult. The issues were clear, and everybody wanted to move away from military rule to democratic and constitutional rule. But this situation is different. We're dealing with entrenched provisions which are completely different from each other, and which need to be considered on an individual basis. So that's another concern which many people have about the constitutional amendment process, and how it is going to be presented to the public for its approval.
Thank you very much, Justice Emil Short, former Shraj boss. I would have loved to pick your thoughts on, some of our institutions and how they've been weakened over the period because of limited resources. But I'll definitely bring you back because you mentioned the NCCE.
Yeah.
And if you ask them why they are not undertaking their mandates, they tell you that they don't have enough resources.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
I'll definitely bring you back since
Okay.
you headed Shraj at some point.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.